Hello, Facebook. Everybody who's here visiting YourTango today. Hi, it's Arianna Jeret. Here on Facebook Live at YourTango, and I'm just waiting to see a few people show up so I know that Facebook is showing this to the universe. I see people there, yay! And tonight, I am coming to you again from my parents' house, which is always interesting, so I'll see what happens. And the light is super funky and making things look like ghostly to me. So I'm trying to focus and be able to see. Hi, Matt Jeffrey. Hi, Teresa. So I think what I'm going to do tonight, oh, Teresa said, happy full moon Capricorn blessings. That's awesome. Perfect for your tango. Hi, Courtney and Veronica and Sarah and John. So I love being able, oh, I'm in LA. Matt, where are you? I'm in Los Angeles. I'm actually in the Valley right now. I don't live here, but I was born here. Hi, Joe. Thanks for saying hi. It's good to see you. I see when people come on who I know, I don't necessarily see it. In fact, I don't see a lot of you. So please say hi if you're here watching. And Eva, Bruce, Caitlin. Yeah, it's a full moon, so is it gonna be weird? Maybe that's why the lighting made me look like a ghost. We were away this weekend and my son actually has some kind of an app with like a ghost detector. And there were apparently ghosts all over the room. Let's see. So Beverly said, how to start dating again. So Beverly, I'm going to answer your question. Hi, James and Amy and Delia. I'm just going to start off with a few really quick things, which is just, I'm Arianna Jeret. I'm one of the editors here. We're going to talk about anything anybody asks about. And I wanted to start actually, and then I'm going to go back to that question about starting again. Hi, Nancy and Rita. Oh, Rita's a first timer, so it's good to see you. Kathy, Sadie, Veronica. I wanted to, first of all, oh, Matt, you're in Toronto. I love Canada. Canada's awesome. Hi, Sheila. So first of all, just so you guys know, I don't always see the comments the same way you guys are seeing them for some reason. So if I don't answer a question from you, please know I'm not just ignoring you, and I will go back and try to write it down for next week, or I'll scroll back and try to find it if you mention it. Hi, Jess. Oh, Morgan, it's your first time. Hi, Tanisha in North Carolina. Oh, Peg just shared the video. Thank you. Yeah, share the video and have people come and join. It's really fun because I feel like it's really getting to be you know, more of a community here and everybody's supporting each other. Hi, Norman and Amber and Eva. So there's a question that I have been getting every single week that I've been on here now for about, it's only been like 2 months, but still I've gotten this question every single time. And there are a few reasons I want to answer it. And the question I've been getting is whether or not I personally spit or swallow. And here's why I want to answer it. I want to answer it because, first of all, I want you to know, oh, Michael said my voice is annoying as hell. So Michael, just, you know, you can leave the show. You don't have to watch it. It's so cool. Okay, so that free choice is like the best thing about living in America, right? So nobody has to watch it if they don't like it. So the reason I want to answer the question is that, first of all, I feel like any guys who are still stuck and asking women if they spit or swallow, like I feel like there really aren't just like two options out there, right? Like this can be a much more interesting world than that. And so that leads me to think that either A, you aren't being very imaginative about things that could possibly happen other than spitting or swallowing, or you are really just trying to think of something you could say to a woman that would kind of like put her in her place or make her feel awkward or controlled by asking her something that's really inappropriate or weird. And here's the thing, I will totally answer personal questions. I'm happy to, if you guys care. I think you want to hear more about yourselves and I want to answer questions about yourselves. But I also just want to put out there that if I've seen some guys come on here who've been coming back pretty much every week, and at the beginning we're kind of asking questions like that, and now seem to be really like paying attention and talking to other people who are here and asking really interesting questions. And I think that, yeah, like Norman right now asking me to do his laundry, right? And it's just for attention. So I think like you guys can really like share stuff with each other that you'll grow from here. So, so that's why I wanted to answer that. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. So I'm just missing the name of who it was who wanted to know how to get back into dating. I feel like with dating, you just have to, it's like, you know, the bike riding thing, like where, you know, you never forget how to do it, but it feels awkward at first, and you kind of just got to jump in and give it a shot. And really, you know, I always think just look at it for the fun. Like it's going to be a story. You're going to learn something. You're going to learn something about yourself. You're going to learn about what you do want, what you don't want. And I think the important thing is to go in with a mindset that if it doesn't work out, it's not because you're not a good woman, because it was a woman who asked the question, or the guy is not necessarily a douchebag, although he might be, right? And you might not be a good woman. I don't know you. But the point is like, so maybe you're just not right for each other, and that's okay. So it doesn't have to be this like scary thing to have a bad date. And, you know, if you're scared, you're probably scared really, I think, of the heartbreak potentially at the end. But that's just one of those things, you know, I think we just have to remind ourselves that anything we do in life, you know, every time you get into a car, unfortunately, anything that you do, anytime you make a new friend, anytime you start a new job, can end up with something negative happening, right? But also everything can end up positive. And I know that sounds kind of like Pollyanna, but it's just the way it is. So I think just, you know, ask your friends what they're doing that's been good, if it's been apps, if it's been meetups, if it's been blind dates, and just give it a shot and see what works for you. Let's see. Tony said hi from Arkansas, and Dava said hi, it's her first time, so hi. Caitlin said, everyone says that a 24-year age difference can't work, but my boyfriend and I have been together for a whole year and have a lot in common. He's older than me. What's your opinion on that? Well, I'm guessing he's 24 years older than you, right? Because that's what you're saying. So, and I'm assuming that you are older than, you know, 18 years or older, or whatever the legal age of consent is in your state. So if you've been together for a whole year and it's going great, I mean, I think, is that the two of you in your profile picture? I see this cute little picture and I can't see it very well, but it looks like you're really happy and snuggly. And, you know, if it's going really well after a year, then yeah, you said, yep, you're 21. So, I mean, honestly, it shouldn't even be a question anymore. You know, if it's good for you guys, you know, I think you can, you know, if the question is like you guys are thinking about getting married, and so maybe people think, you know, you're too young to be settling, maybe people think he's gonna push you into things that you're not ready for, but you've already been together for a year, you're happy. If you don't feel like he's controlling, if you don't feel like you're doing things because it's what he wants and not because what you want, then personally, I don't see why it should make any difference, you know. And if people are saying to you things like, which, you know, I'm just guessing, so sorry if they haven't, but, you know, people are saying things like, oh, well, if he's that much older, then you're probably going to be widowed at a young age or something like that. I mean, gosh, like I know people who are in their 40s and losing their spouses who are the same age as them just because random stuff starts to happen, or it happens younger, and who knows, right? So if you found like a really solid relationship with somebody, I think that that's a real gift, and I would just keep going for it. Sorry, let's see, who else? Hi to Dan Galoza. I'm probably butchering names. I won't even try with last names. Hi from Karen in Florida, Kenny, Herbie, Larry in Texas. Patty Benedict said, how do I tell a really nice guy that I don't love him? Well, you know, I think you just tell him. And I think actually because he's a really nice guy, you should tell him. Because it's not really being nice to a nice guy if you're not in love with him to string him along. You know, let him move on and find somebody else who he'll get along with. And, you know, just because you don't love him, it doesn't mean that there's anything bad about you or you're mean or there's anything wrong. I mean, I think that it really sucks when somebody is in love with you and telling you they're in love with you, if they continue to believe that there's a chance. I think that that's really kind of being, even though you don't mean to, that's actually being mean. Because every day that they feel more for you, you know, it's getting stronger, and it's going to hurt that much more when you do tell them that you don't feel that way. So I would just say, you know, for whatever reason, I'm just not feeling it. It's just not there, and it's not going to be there. It's not going to happen. And be really, really firm with it, you know, and I would just make sure you don't fall into the trap of, you know, feeling sorry for him and saying, okay, sure, I will, you know, let's see how it goes. Fine, we'll see. Because if you don't love him at this point, it seems like you know you're not going to, and just let him move on is what I would do. Oh, Dava said she liked my response to Michael. Thank you. I mean, there's really nothing else to say, right? Crystal said, okay, here you have it. I have a question. So my friend said he don't want a relationship right now. I said, okay, well, I'm moving forward. He then stated, well, I just don't want a relationship right now. See, I don't know if there was more to your question, Crystal. Are you saying that maybe, oops, why am I, Crystal, it's trying to get me to invite you here for some reason. Okay, you're already here. I'm guessing that it sounds like what you're saying is that he's saying he just doesn't want a relationship right now, and he might in the future because he's trying to string you along. So I would stick with what you're doing, you know, and when he said, I don't, you know, if he's trying to keep you around, you know, because he wants to have sex or he wants to date you, but he doesn't want to have to make a commitment, and you know for a fact that you want a commitment or nothing, then don't settle for him saying, well, but if you stick around, you know, maybe I will. You know, I would do exactly what you've been doing and just say goodbye, and, you know, call me if you decide that you change your mind, and maybe I'll still be open to it and maybe I won't. And then let him face the consequences, and maybe he'll like immediately snap into it and realize that he really wants you, but in which case I would stand really firm that what you want is a relationship and stick with that. Or you know, he'll realize it later and he'll come back to you and it'll be too late because you'll have moved on. But either way, I care about you because you're the one here asking the question. So I just stick to your guns on that one is all you can really do. Patty's in Maine. Let's see. Cassandra said, Michelle said, great response. Thank you. Cassandra said, if you get to it, I recently got divorced. My mother called me a bad mother for having my children, being watched by my ex's girlfriend, now fiance. How do I get over my mom's toxicity and her calling me a bad mother? That's so hard, because I think that no matter who any of us are and what our relationship is with our parents, that if your mom or dad, sorry, my bracelet's bugging me. If your mom or dad don't approve of you, or especially of your parenting, you know, that is so incredibly painful, and I really feel you. And I think that the only thing you can really do with that, I mean, first of all, if you and your ex are getting along so well that you are having your ex's fiance watch your kids, God bless the two of you. I mean, wow, like you guys should be teaching co-parenting classes, because that is an amazing, special thing for the two of you to get along that well and for you to get along with his fiance. So good for you. Good for you. And, you know, I'm sure there are things that your mom did that were good as a mom and things your mom did that are bad as a mom. And I think that right now, you know, your mom's not being the best mom ever by treating you that way and by not acknowledging how strong that actually is of you to have that kind of a relationship with your ex and with your kid's father. You know, I mean, that is so incredibly important and good for your children, what you are doing. That is honestly like the best thing you could possibly be doing for your children. So, you know, I really am a big fan of whenever anybody has someone who's particularly negative in your life and it's really their stuff about them, you know, having some kind of like a mantra that you can say to yourself every different time that they do this to you. So whenever your mom says to you, you know, oh, you know, Cassandra, you're a bad mom, that you can just say to yourself, that's about my mom, it's not about me. You know, there is no parent who's the perfect parent. Your mom isn't, you aren't, I'm not. And so just keep reminding yourself that's about your mom stuff, not about you. And I'm impressed. So remember that too. You know, there are people who really admire you, even if they're not saying it. Let's see. Stephanie said, oh, they get ignored by women and that's their way to get attention. Oh, we're talking about the men. Yeah, no, it totally is, right? But I just think, well, I'm not even going to go on to those guys anymore. I'm going to go back to, I'm just going to keep going with the questions. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Stephanie. Okay, Chad. Hi, Chad. Good to see you. You said, is it wrong that I want to try to date outside my race? I don't know why that would be wrong. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong about anybody feels like they want to date. Nothing inherently wrong or inherently good. You know what I mean? Like, so if you're interested in women or men, I mean, I know you, Chad, because like you've been here a lot, so I know it's men. I mean, women. I know it's women. But go for whatever you're interested in. You know, you live in, I think you're in Kansas, right? So I don't know if you live in a place where it's a little bit less acceptable, but good for you that you're open-minded and you're willing to be with people regardless. You know, I mean, I would definitely just think about is it, you know, just that you're attracted to women who are, I don't know which race you're, you know, potentially interested in, if it's Black women or Asian women or what it is that you're looking for, but is it sort of like you have like a fetishy kind of an interest where you're just seeing them like as an object potentially, like to fulfill a fantasy? Or is it that you just genuinely are attracted to different people and maybe there's a particular woman who you're attracted to, in which case I say just follow, you know, the way that you're feeling, and who cares what anybody else thinks or doesn't think or whatever about it. But absolutely. Let's see. Oh, Jim Anderson said, hi, if you're getting a BJ, just be happy. I think that's a great motto, Jim. Chloe, it's good to see you. Hey, always love it when you're here. Let's see. Caitlin said, oh, this was the same question about the 24-year-old age difference. Mocha said dating sucks. You know, it kind of does, but oh, well. Let's see. Beverly Jane said, and if you have health problems and you're looking for someone that can help you and be a friend and died. It sounds like you went through something really hard, Beverly, and I'm not sure I understand the question well enough. So if you want to expand on what your specific question is, I'm happy to answer it and help you out. Nicole said, going back to not Cassandra's question, but the question about dating, said, yes, it's hard after 23 years of marriage, but I did meet someone. So that's great. See, I mean, I really do think as long as you're willing to put yourself out there, you know, try letting people who you wouldn't typically be into take you out, or ask out people who you would be afraid to approach. You know, just there's nothing ever to be afraid of. We're also afraid of approaching other people and getting involved with other people. And the truth is we all make it through, right? And so what's the worst that happens if you ever get rejected is that you feel kind of bummed out, and then you learn something from it and you move on. And then you really just have to keep going. Let's see. Rita said, how soon after a split up is it good to start dating again, or when's too soon? I don't think that there's any too soon, to be honest. You know, I think some people need to go out. I mean, like the night of the breakup, people go out to clubs or whatever. Some people, you know, insist that they have to wait weeks or months or a year. I feel like everybody is different. And you've probably broken up with somebody before. And, I think as long as you go out knowing that at first, the first person you meet is probably not going to be your next one, it's more likely going to be something where it's that rebound kind of like quick, like infatuation kind of a thing that then, dips away pretty quickly. But I don't think that there is a too soon. I think too soon is only judged by if you're saying to yourself, I feel like it's too soon, it's too soon. And but I don't think that there's any particular time you can put on it. Oh, Thomas is back from Detroit. Good to see you. It's been a while. It's nice that you're here. Let's see. Veronica said, I attract D-bags. How do I attract a good guy? If I knew the answer to that, Veronica, I'd be with one. I don't know. But here's what I do think. I go back and forth on whether or not I buy the whole what you attract to you thing. I think in general, a lot of people who live by that rule of, well, what are you attracting to your life, and what are you bringing to you? Like, I feel like there are certain kind of like crunchy people who take that a little bit too literally, and it's a way of victim blaming, and I really dislike it a lot. Anybody who knows me personally knows that I really dislike that take, because I think that things happen in our lives and we encounter all kinds of people, and to tell somebody, well, what is it in you that is attracting them? It makes people feel like there's some like inherent like flaw magnet that they can't like surgically remove, and so they're going to be doomed to only meet douchebags for the rest of their lives. And I don't believe in that. I do think that something that a lot of women have to learn, men too, is, somebody just asked about this, I think 2 weeks ago maybe, where somebody was talking about how they'd been dating somebody for about 2 or 3 months, and then he started acting like a jerk, and she had liked who he was so much, and then he changed. And I really started thinking, I don't think that you can ever truly know, I don't want to say ever, but you mostly don't know somebody until a good 2 to 3 months have passed. And so I think a lot of us get taken in at the beginning by thinking that we have this incredible bond with somebody, and so we believe we know them and we fall for them. And then around 2 or 3 months, everybody's more comfortable and more relaxed and kind of feels like they've got the other person, so to speak. And so that whole like putting on your best face kind of like behavior dies down, and then you start to really see these things about somebody, and then those things are the ones that really stick and don't change. So I think the best way to avoid the douchebags, so to speak, is not by avoiding meeting them, because you're going to meet whoever you happen to meet, whoever you swipe on that day, whoever comes across your path that day. I don't think there's that much you can do about who you meet. I think what you can do is take your time getting to know somebody so that you're not like connected to these douchebag guys who you didn't realize were douchebags. So that's my thinking at the moment about how to stop attracting them. And let's touch base again in another few weeks and see if that's been working for either one of us, okay? Let's see. Sabine said, well, it's not about working out, it's about meeting decent guys. Yeah, I think meeting guys is, it's just a kind of a crapshoot, and I just feel like that's why, really like kind of do your research. And Fabian said, leave the house, exercise, go shopping, get off the computer, and say hello to everybody you see and pass. That's, it's like, sure, like, that would be ideal, I think. But I think what you're saying, Fabian, that really does work is, keep your mindset open and keep your eyes open, and don't, I think especially that's hard for women, because I think that we do go out there in the world and we have a defense up that I think men don't always understand, or they kind of belittle the fact that for women, you walk around and you get catcalled and you get, you get all these mixed messages. Like, you know, look at me. Okay, so Matt Jeffrey, I see you said I'm beautiful, and you said that a few times, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. And as a woman, it's so weird. Like, do I say, oh, Matt Jeffrey just said you're beautiful. Thank you, Matt. Because that sounds like, oh, I'm just going to sit here and read people who said flattering things to me. And so that's like, for as a woman, sometimes I think you worry, like, do I come off looking like bad or conceited if I think that everybody's talking to me, right? And then also you get guys who come up to you and you think that they're being nice, and then they start saying the really nasty things, like the guys who I've been saying, ask those questions about the spitting and swallowing. Like, that doesn't only happen on the internet. Dudes do all kinds of crazy rude shit all the time to women. So yes, like, we need to keep our eyes open and try to be trusting and ready to meet people, but also, guys, like, kind of try to remember that women have their defenses up for a reason, and go ahead and, you know, approach women, and don't take it personally, though, if they reject you, because they're allowed to not be interested. Okay, let's see. Mocha said, there aren't any good men left on earth, and if there are, they're taken and being dogged out and ruined, or they just plain want the polar opposite of themselves. I mean, that for sure. I think that I know a lot of guys who would probably say the same about women. I mean, it's hard to meet people, and it's frustrating. And Mocha, I hear you. You know, it's tough. It is tough out there, but you know, I think that once you get, I try so hard because I have 2 boys to never, ever, ever let myself ever get in that mindset of like, oh, men suck, because I have 2 boys, so I can't believe that, right? So, and I know so many good guys. So, you know, and I have lots of friends who did a really great job meeting great guys and getting married to a great guy, and good for them. And so all that means is that there are more out there. And I think if you get in the mindset too much of they all suck, then you start putting up those walls yourselves where you just kind of predetermine that they're all going to suck. And that's more of the fear of being rejected and having your own heart broken. So, you know, Mocha, I understand it. And I also hope that you can find some space to not be so scared and open up a little. Travis said, well, for starters, don't pick any of these losers on here. They're definitely the wrong. Sorry. I mean, well, Travis, I don't know. You're on here. So maybe I don't know what you guys are all like, but, you know, but if anybody does meet Travis on here, take at least 2 or 3 months to get to know him is what I would say. Let's see. Ariel, or Ariel, I don't know how you pronounce it, said, my boyfriend doesn't last long. How do you talk to him about it? Well, my guess, okay, so there's 2 things. So one is there's the fact that he doesn't last long. And then 2 is it a problem that he doesn't last long because then when it's over, he stops, you know? And I think for whatever reason, there are definitely plenty of guys out there who once they're finished, they haven't been checking in or paying attention along the way to see if their woman is also ready to be done, you know? And so I think, you know, I try to never approach those kinds of conversations from any kind of a negative or like a criticizing place. But if you can approach it more from a place of what he could do that would make you feel really good, you know? So instead of approaching it from a place of, you know, there are a lot of times where you just don't last long enough, and so I want you to start breathing exercises, or I want you to start like thinking about something else. What you can do is you can say, sorry, the lighting is so weird because of the timing and it's making me feel like I see ghosts, is you can say, you know, I've read this article recently. You know, you can look up on YourTango. We have all these articles on tantric sex, right? And tantric breathing exercises. And you can say, I just read this article about tantric sex and tantric breathing during sex, and it sounded so hot. I want us to give it a try. And that way you don't even have to mention anything. You can just send him these articles that talk about tantric sex and talk about tantric, you know, breathing, and then see what happens. And if it doesn't start to, then you can bring it up, and, you know, once you're trying it, let's say that he still doesn't last as long, you can say, hey, you know, I was just wondering, like, would you want this to last longer? Like, how long do you like for sex to last? And I was also thinking, it would be so hot to me once you're done if you blah, 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 go down on me, if you use your fingers, if you do this or that, whatever, like, you know, bring in toys in the room. Like, think of the things that you would want him to do after he's done in order to, you know, finish taking care of you. You know, you can show him, like, send him some images from Tumblr of things that you'd want to try, send him lots of articles. And so I think as long as you can have a conversation in terms of, this is what I would love us to try, that's, you know, sort of the best chance of turning it, instead of into some kind of like a nagging argument, of turning it into an opportunity to have a lot more fun together in the bedroom. Let's see. Larry said, but dating is different per person and dependent on your personality as per men or women, for sure. Let's see. Jess said, boyfriend does little things, but he doesn't like going on dates much. He says it's too spendy. We're in a loop of Netflix and chill. It gets old. He works a lot, but on days off, he'd rather sit and watch movies. He says we're together 6 years, no need to go on dates. Well, I'm definitely going to disagree with him, Jess, that you don't need to go on dates. I think that even, you know, people who've been together for decades still need to go on dates. And when I say they need to go on dates, I think a lot of married couples, what they do is they say, oh, we're gonna have a date night. And so what they do is they both get their sweats on and they go to a movie, and then they come back from the movie. And that's not a date night. That's going to see a movie with your friend, which you can do with anybody, right? So a date is really something special, like where you actually put thought into it and think about it and plan what you want to do, and you're, you know, wooing each other. And I think that counts for everybody. But what I would ask you, Jess, is this a new thing with him? You know, the Netflix and chill loop? Because, yeah, I mean, some people get into a place in their life where they're tired and they're working a lot, and that is what they want to do. And it's not like, you know, if that is really where he is and what he wants, you can't change who he is. But I would just look at, was he always like that? In which case, it's probably not going to ever change. And then if that's not good for you, then where do you want to go next with it? Because if that's not good for you and he's not going to change it, then in order for you to be happy, you might need to move on. If that isn't what he used to be like and he used to do other things, then, you know, I would also think back about, is there like a valid reason it's changed? Did something in life just become a lot more stressful or a lot more exhausting? But I think the key thing is, if you've been expressing something to him that is important to you and he is just saying to you no, and he's not willing to even have a conversation and talk about it, then that right there is more of a sign that you guys are just not, there's not like a give and take going on in the communication between the two of you. So, you know, I think that that's something really important to look at, not because I judge the Netflix and chill choice. If two people are comfortable doing that all the time, they're comfortable doing that. But if you guys aren't willing to, you know, have some kind of a compromise where, you know, you Netflix and chill a certain amount of the time because that's what he wants, and then you go on dates a certain amount of the time because that's what you want, then I think that that's pretty problematic, and you might want to consider, I mean, it sucks after just, you know, 6 years, that's a long time, but maybe you guys have outgrown each other, or, you know, just gone in separate directions now. But I think the first thing is to see if he realizes how serious this issue is for you, and if he's willing to have a conversation about changing it. Okay, let's see. Doris said, this weekend I went to a nude beach for the first time at 60 years old. I found a lot about myself. 2 things I learned. I'm not as fat as I thought I was, and my scars weren't that bad compared to others. I think that's great, Doris. I mean, yeah, good for you. Yeah, that's, you know, it's like for me, I feel like when I started dating again after my divorce, like one of the most helpful things for me as far as my self-esteem, like compared to when I was in my 20s, I mean, and I know this will sound kind of like weird to people, but it was honestly, it was like seeing the women's bodies in porn and just seeing how there are so many different kinds of bodies in porn that men and women are both enjoying watching. And yeah, scars, birthmarks, different shapes, different shape boobs, different shape vaginas, different vulvas, different shape penises, different shape like everything, butts, you know, arms, like there's just so many different body types out there. And I think that that can be really freeing as far as looking at yourself. So good for you, Doris. I think that's great. Let's see. Sally said, you look like you're stressed too much. And see, you know, Sally, that's really weird because you don't even know my life story. So you don't know if I stress too much or not enough. Okay, let's see. Lily said, I'm dealing with a guy who is going through a divorce. He says he wants to wait for it to be final before we have anything official, but the things he says is pointing to him loving me. Then when he opens up, he disappears for a few days. Any insight? I will say on his behalf, Lily, that I do believe that until a divorce is final, there are so many factors that are possibly changing and so many things that feel weird. You know, I kind of look at it as like the moment you enter the divorce process, like somebody has decided that you're getting a divorce and you filed for a divorce, until the moment where the papers are actually signed, sealed, and delivered from the court saying that it's done, it's kind of like being in purgatory because you really have no idea what the next part of your life is going to be or when it's going to start. And so I don't think it's at all weird or atypical. I think it's super normal and makes complete sense to me that he doesn't want to make anything really solid until the divorce is final. And also, you know, I mean, I don't know what his personal take is, but there are a lot of people out there who do consider being with somebody else before a divorce is final to be cheating. I don't see it that way at all, but who am I to judge if other people see it that way, right? So, and I'm not saying he thinks of it as cheating, but maybe he's trying to be respectful, you know, whatever it is. You know, as far as the disappearing for a few nights part, it could also be, I mean, this is really fresh for him. And no matter how long his divorce has been in process, or no matter how long his marriage was bad before they started the divorce process, which could have been a really long time, it's still, this is a major, major, major transition time in life for somebody. And so for him to be gun shy about the idea of committing and to be the kind of guy who goes silent, or, I mean, I'm not going to say that he's off cheating with somebody else when he's silent. He could be, he could not be. I don't know. I'm not a person who does that. I know people who do it. It makes me insane, big time. But I can't say what goes on. I mean, I know another one of our editors here, Emily, she wrote an article about how she does that. She, you know, sometimes she just needs a few days to herself. I feel like if you really love him and you believe that he's loving you, then I would give him that time until the divorce is final and then see how things go. And I don't mean like see if he's willing to make it official the next day. I mean like let that kind of be your starting point for seeing how things go. Because that really is when the healing time begins, is once everything's final. Let's see. Travis said, get a job and take him out. I don't know who said anything about a woman not being able to, but okay. Let's see. Desi said, I'm just blunt, just say it, huh? I guess is that about being into somebody? Oh, that's about telling the guy that you're not in love with him. Let's see. Mocha said, see what I mean? Nice people finish last. Men and women sucking my head. Mocha love it out. Oh, I'm sorry, Mocha. Okay, let's see. Lily said, that's what I wonder if my guy is doing, stringing me along. See, Lily, I don't know. I mean, he might be, but he really might not be. I think that, and I think he might not even know. I really think that if you're ever dating somebody who is separated or not, not finished with their divorce yet, they are messed up in the head, no matter who they are. And it's not because they're a douchebag inherently or they're a bad woman inherently. It is a really, really, really confusing time. So I don't think, I would not feel confident saying he's stringing you along, but I also wouldn't feel confident telling you, oh, he's not, and everything's gonna be perfect when you're together. Let's see, Eva said, how can I ask a guy I'm seeing if we're exclusive? We met recently about a week and we always talk, but I don't know what we are. We get along very well. I really like him. Should I ask him though? Just wondering. He only met like a week ago. I for sure wouldn't ask him yet. I feel like I don't know. I don't like telling people you can't ask. I think that the ideal would be to not ask and just kind of see if he starts to imply anything, or if you guys start to, introduce each other. Like when you're meeting people that he knows, does he introduce you as his girlfriend or as his friend? Or, how is he being about you and his friends seeing each other? Are you together pretty much every weekend night? Look at those kinds of bigger picture things and just see how it's going and if you're feeling comfortable. And then I think that down the road, I would say like maybe a few months into it, because remember, I'm this big fan now of the getting to know somebody over 2 or 3 months before you go anywhere like that. Then I think for sure, like, don't just sit around being confused. I think you can say like, I just want to see what page we're on. And I think as long as you put it, I wouldn't put it in terms of sort of like an ultimatum of like, are we seeing each other or not? But more in terms of, I just kind of wanted to get a sense of where you are, because, I've been thinking about it and I would like us to be exclusive, but I also don't want to rush you. And so I just want to get a sense of where you are with this whole thing. And I really feel like as long as you can approach a conversation in terms of that, like let's kind of like check in and see how we're both feeling about something, as opposed to, the demanding, like, I need an answer to this, I need to know this, or I want this. Then it's a lot easier to have the conversation. Yeah, so I think just, give it a little bit more time and then see naturally what happens. And if it doesn't happen, then you can just approach it in the, I'm just sort of curious and confused and was wondering, what do you think? And if he gets super defensive or super uncomfortable, then and then, within 2 or 3 months, then you'll have a sense of, does that matter to you or not? Because right now, I mean, I don't know, I feel like for you, like, why should you feel like you have to be exclusive after a week? Just because you like him? He's not going anywhere. So saying that you're exclusive isn't going to keep him from going anywhere. So it doesn't really matter, right? Because that's not going to be what's going to keep like being exclusive or not, getting married or not, getting engaged or not. That's never the thing that keeps somebody from going somewhere. What keeps somebody from going somewhere is because you have a good relationship and you like spending time with each other. So whether or not you're exclusive, I think there's just not that same kind of power that we, women especially, kind of tend to ascribe to it in that way. Let's see. Alex has a boner. Good for you. Let's see. I hope it's a good one. Yvonne says, I'm happy in my relationship with my fiance, and my mom always told me we have to be a good wife, friend, and lover to my man and have good communication. Okay, I don't know where else that was going to go. Let's see. Oh, see, and Tom, I thought you were going to be like cool on here this time, but now you're talking about your boner again. I don't know what's going on. Let's see. Veronica says, how do I find a good guy? I mean, that was kind of the same thing we talked about earlier with, just keeping your options open. Sabine said not wanting a relationship now means he doesn't want a relationship. Back to that guy before. I mean, yeah, I mean, I do think in divorce situations that's different, but the other conversation before, I think that was a little bit different. Let's see what Caitlin said. To find a good guy, Veronica, you have to be happy with yourself and in your own skin. Basically, work on yourself first, and then the right guy will come around. Don't go looking for a guy because they don't like desperate girls. Being desperate only attracts D-bags. Well, Caitlin, yes, and so Caitlin, I'm going to take a little bit of privilege because I know you're 21 and you seem really sweet, and I'm thrilled that you have this great boyfriend. At the same time, kind of like the whole, like, why are you attracting douchebags thing, I don't love the whole, you know, spend the time loving yourself thing and then somebody will love you, because I think what that does to people is it puts them in a position where, well, what if they do, right? Like, I don't know what Sabine's life is like, or her self-esteem, or her situation, or whatever. And so, you know, maybe she does all of that stuff and she still hasn't met somebody great. And so then what? You know, is it just her fault? I don't think so. Like, I think that there are just a lot of different circumstances that go on in life that make people more or less likely at any given time to meet somebody or have met somebody. So I really think that the key is, well, I think nobody knows what the key is. I'm gonna say that. Nobody knows, right? Like, if I knew and you knew and that one knew, everybody in the universe would be happily paired and nobody would need to have a Facebook Live show like this to talk about it. But I do believe, based on what I know has worked for people I know, right, and people who are in good relationships, is, you know, keep yourself open, be open to kinds of people that you would typically say no to, be open to opportunities, go out and do stuff that you like doing, because if you're doing stuff that you like doing, chances are you'll meet people who like doing it too. And even if you don't meet a guy, maybe you meet another friend who introduces you to someone. You know, just keep yourself active and doing the stuff that you want to do. And I mean, and in that way, yeah, then you are doing that stuff about loving yourself and all of that. But I just don't want anybody out there in the world feeling like they aren't good enough because they can't even love themselves enough. And so therefore they are going to forever keep themselves from ever having what they want. And they get into this cycle where they're just totally doomed forever because they themselves are not capable of it. Fuck that. That's all I can say. It is what it is. None of us know how the world really works. Do stuff you love. Try to meet people. Try not to get too shut down and too scared. And I hope it happens for you. Chad said, good guys are hard to find because they've been treated wrongly or judged wrongly, Veronica. Well, I mean, women too, Chad, right? Like, I think we've said this almost every week. I think that all of these things that you say about women can be said about men, and all the things that can be said about men can be said about women, right or wrong. And I think that, like, right there, that's something that I wish more men and women could keep in mind. You know, just as much as you've been hurt, Chad, or you've been hurt, Sabine or Mocha, like, so have the guys on the other side, you know? And so the more I think everybody can just accept that, plus then I also think it makes people feel, it can help you feel less rejected and like take it less personally when someone isn't into you, because there could be so many other messed up things going on in that person's head that have to do with the reason why it didn't work out between the two of you that just have nothing to do with you, because we've just all been through a lot of stuff if you get to a certain point. Let's see. Travis, did you say, when you said I'm going to make this chick laugh, it's the last tucking thing I do, that's about, are you trying to make me laugh? Because I love good jokes. You could tell a funny joke and I'll laugh. I laughed at the boner thing, kind of. It's really like a funky thing, like being the person talking on this, because I would actually prefer to be in conversation with you guys and hearing you. And I think I'd be kind of lame if I was sitting here laughing at myself, like totally laughing out loud. But, you know, it is what it is. Linda said, is it strange that a guy only texts you but doesn't call or talk on the phone? Well, okay, there you go. I like to move it. That's a good one. I like that. Linda, I don't know that it's strange. I think some people prefer to text and some people prefer to talk. And if anybody I know is on here watching this right now, they might be laughing for you, Travis, because I really prefer to text people than I do to talk on the phone, because I don't know, I just, for some reason, I find it tiring to talk on the phone for too long. I used to love it, but then I worked as a mediator and a coach for a long time, and I did a shitload of talking on the phone to people, and it just like wore me out or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old and cranky. I don't know what it is. I just prefer to text, but I'm a writer too. You know, like I feel like I express myself better sometimes when I'm writing than when I'm talking. So I think maybe if he's a guy who just prefers, you know, maybe he works a lot and he can text while he's working. A lot of times I don't feel like I can call people at night because I have my kids most nights and I don't want them to hear my conversations, or, you know, for me not to be present with them and for me just to be off like in the room talking or something. So there are lots of different reasons, but I think that, like, I definitely, you know, if there's somebody who I'm really into and they want to talk on the phone, then I try to make an effort to do that. So I would just see, is he making a effort to talk to you sometimes? But I wouldn't judge it too much. I would judge it more on how things are when you're together and whether or not you're able to communicate and stay in touch and all of that kind of stuff. Let's see. Michael said, live life with love, and if a guy pays attention, he wants to meet halfway, boom, there you go. That sounds good. Let's see. Bunch of this is responses to other questions. So I'm going to keep looking for any other. Travis is apparently de bomb del taco. Let's see. Travis thinks Stephanie is stalking him. I don't really know what's going on here. I'll go back and read this all later and find out. Alex said, my mom wanted a threesome with me and my little brother. What do I do to prevent that? I feel like, Alex, you might be pulling my leg with that one. If not, you can give me more details, but that one seems a little bit, I'm not sure about that one. Let's see, Lily, we talked about the guy going through the divorce. Let's see. Michael said, don't get comfy. I think that was about the Netflix and chill guy. Elizabeth said, in a long distance relationship, why would a guy withdraw the day before you leave each time you meet? Oh my God. Elizabeth, are you and I the same person? I've had that same exact issue too for like 3 years now. Okay, so here's what I think, Elizabeth. According to what I believe to happen, is I do think, you know, with long distance relationships, it's super, super hard, right? Because things are so incredibly amazing when you're together. Like so great, right? I mean, obviously, otherwise you wouldn't keep it going and deal with the incredibly ridiculousness, or the incredible ridiculousness that is a long distance relationship, because they're a pain in the ass. They're really hard. But I think then what happens is some people get really, because of how hard it is when you're apart, and because of how much you miss each other, and I think sometimes feel like, gosh, like, wouldn't it just be easier if I met somebody who was close by and I didn't have to deal with the pain of missing them in between? That I think that especially men sometimes do this like pulling back thing so that they can distance themselves from you in order to feel less pain when you leave. And I think it's unfortunate, because I think it's really self-defeating, because I think instead of actually like feeling the completeness of the good times, you spend so much time worrying about the bad part of the missing each other that you make the good times less than they could be. And so I think it's really unfortunate, Elizabeth. I don't think it's anything that means anything bad about you and your relationship with the guy. I think it's just a coping mechanism that he has. And I think that the only thing that you can really do is be aware yourself of that pattern and just kind of know for yourself that that's what he does and that's how he handles it, so that you're not constantly hurt and surprised by it. And I know that that's far harder to do than it is for me to tell you, but I do think, you know, you can't control how he's going to behave or whether or not he's ever going to change that. So all you can do is know, okay, I recognize this pattern now. I know how it plays out. And so, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And then it's going to go this way and that way, because you also know what the rest of your patterns are, because you probably have those too. Okay, let's see. Yeah, see, Travis, who's a guy, said, Elizabeth, he's protecting himself. See? So there you go. All right, it has been almost an hour, so I am going to see if I can find one more question. Well, Federico said, what's the best true dating site? I don't know that there is a best. I mean, I know a lot of people like different ones. So that one's hard. I mean, I know a lot of people are using Tinder and Bumble now, and I know a lot of people use OkCupid and Plenty of Fish. I just really think that that's totally up to personal choice and what you're looking for. Let me see if there's any other major question. Melissa said, should I date the guy from my past? Yes, I think you should. Well, I don't know how far back in your past you want to go, but I will say that for sure, like after my divorce, I ended up dating a few different guys from my past, and it was so much fun and like answered so many like lingering questions, and I, you know, got my heart broken a bit along the way, but I think it's totally, oh, you said it was 20 years ago? I think, I mean, first of all, you know, it depends on why it didn't work out, right? So if it didn't work out because he was abusive or there was some really horrifying thing between the two of you, then obviously no. But I think if it's kind of like the one that got away or like something that happened and like maybe there's a chance now, like, yeah, like that, it can be really sweet. And just as with anything, you know, I think the best way to deal with expectations is to not have them and see what happens. But for sure, I mean, yeah, I think it could be a really, really great thing. This is so weird this time. I'm seeing messages more than once. Let's see. Charlotte said, my boyfriend said I need to do kegels. I was completely offended. He said he feels insecure about his size. How would you take that? Well, I mean, I guess I would ask him why he felt the need to say that you need to do kegels. You know, it sounds like he's probably a little bit awkward. I'm guessing that, yeah, I mean, if he said that he's insecure about his size, I'm kind of thinking most guys wouldn't say that they feel insecure about their size unless they do feel insecure about their size. I don't think it's ever a bad thing for women to do kegels, but I also don't believe that it like magically shapes the size of your, sorry, there's probably somebody coming home, my dog's freaking out. I don't think it's going to reshape the size of your vagina sufficiently if you truly do have such a major size differential. And I'm going to close my door right now because it sounds like I probably have children coming in and they don't need to hear about this yet. But I would want to know why he said that to you and why he feels like that's such a major issue. And I don't know how long you guys have been together or what the sex is like for you, but I have a feeling that whatever his underlying problem is, kegels are not going to be the answer. So I would want to get to the bottom more of what it is that he would like to have be different about sex. And I mean, I don't know, do you think he's small? He could be small. I really don't know. Guys, why would you say that to a woman? There's nothing she can do. Okay. Like, would you ever say to him, like, I think you should do some, like, penis lengthening exercises? I don't know. Okay, let's see. I'm really going to do one more because it is the end of the hour, and kids are coming in soon. Let's see. I'm trying to see what's a real question here. Okay, so Mo said, greetings from Colombia. I met someone and I like him so much, but he was in a really bad relationship 2 years ago and he's afraid to try something new. What do I do? You can't do anything, Mo. Like, you can't. Like, you cannot control his fear. All you can do is be you. And so, and I think you need to say that to him. You know, he either can let it go and see that you're a different person and let you be who you are and let this relationship play out the way it's going to play out, or he can screw it up for both of you by freaking out and always acting like you're her. But you can't do anything about that because that's his issue. All you can really do is be aware that that's his issue and that that's about him and not about you, and go about your days and your relationship the way that you typically would. And if his fear keeps him from fully experiencing the great stuff that he could be experiencing with you, then, you know, that's going to be too bad, unfortunately. So, you know, you say you like him so much, so I'm sure you guys are getting along great. And I think if you guys can just keep it kind of chill and mellow, and if he can really just be the one to relax, then hopefully it'll work out great. But you really can't control that for him, unfortunately. There's nothing you can do along those lines. So I'm going to call it a night because it has been an hour now. And thank you guys for being so involved and asking so many questions. And, you know, I definitely will come back and read through and see what I missed. And if anybody wants to email during the week or send their messages through Facebook for us to talk about on the, you know, if you have like a longer question you want to ask, so I'll be prepared for next week with it. My email is Arianna, ARIANNA, at yourtango.com. And you can drop me a line there, send a message direct through our Facebook page. You can also find me on Twitter, at Arianna Jeret. And my Instagram is at Arianna Jer, J-E-R. And look forward to seeing you guys next week. Always love it with you. Bye. Have fun. Have a good week. Have a good week. Bye.